He said things that made you feel special. He promised you forever, and you believed it. He looked you in the eye and told you he'd never hurt you. And still, here you are, hurting. Not because you were weak, not because you were blind, but because you had a heart that wanted to believe in someone, a heart that still saw the good, a heart that wanted to build something real. He lied. He said what he needed to say to keep you close. He gave you just enough attention to stop you from walking away. And every time you forgave him, he learned that he could lie again. You believed him because you loved him, because you hoped he would become the version of himself that he kept promising to be. That wasn't foolish. That wasn't naive. That was human. You were trying. You were loyal. You were giving him chances because you knew what it felt like to be given up on. But now you've seen it. Now you feel it in your bones. He's not changing. He never planned to. You've outgrown the lies. You've outgrown the cycles. So now what? Now you breathe. Now you grieve what could have been, and then you let it go. Now you look in the mirror and remind yourself that love doesn't make you weak. Your ability to give, to care, to believe, that's strength. But your greatest strength is learning to walk away when the respect is gone, is choosing yourself even when your heart wants to stay. You believed him. But now it's time to believe in you. He said you were too emotional, too much, too intense. He said it to control you, to dim your light, to make you question your worth. But deep down, you know the truth. You were never too much. You were just too real for someone who wasn't ready. Now what? Now you give yourself the closure he never gave you. You stop waiting for an apology that won't come. You stop wondering what you could have done differently. You stop trying to make sense of someone who never made sense in the first place. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about hate. This is about peace, about healing, about choosing to protect your own energy instead of fixing someone who never asked to be saved. You believed him. You gave him love. And now you give yourself freedom. The most powerful thing you'll ever do is stop chasing answers from someone who only gave you confusion, is stop hoping for a new ending from someone who keeps rewriting the same story, is stop looking backward and start rebuilding forward. He lied, yes, but you rise, not to prove him wrong, but to prove yourself right. You rise because your value was never tied to whether he could see it. You rise because, deep down, you've always known this moment would come. The moment where your heart finally catches up with what your soul's been whispering. You don't belong in places where you have to fight to be heard. You don't belong in someone's life as an option. You don't belong waiting, doubting, wondering. You deserve peace. You deserve presence. You deserve to feel safe in someone's words, not shaken by them. Now what? Now you choose you. In every conversation, in every relationship, in every decision, you choose you. Not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Because you've learned something powerful. You've learned that someone can love your smile and still cause your tears. You've learned that someone can miss you and still mistreat you. You've learned that words are only words unless they're backed by consistency. And you've learned that silence can speak louder than any lie. He lied. That part doesn't change, but how you carry it, that's your power. You can carry it as a wound, or you can carry it as a lesson. A painful one, yes, but one that shifts everything. Now what? Now you realize that loving someone doesn't mean losing yourself. You remember what it feels like to laugh without tension, to rest without worry, to show up without fear of being judged, picked apart, or abandoned. You start to create a life where peace is not a reward, it's a standard. You'll miss him sometimes. You'll miss the version of him that made you feel seen, the version that made you think forever was possible. But missing someone doesn't mean they belong in your life. You're allowed to feel everything, the love, the loss, the anger, the acceptance. You're allowed to grieve the version of your life you imagined with him, and then you're allowed to move on. Fully, completely, without guilt. He lied. But you loved, honestly. He pretended. But you were present. He ran from truth. But you stood in it. Now what? Now you stop shrinking. Now you stop apologizing for your emotions. Now you stop letting someone else's comfort cost you your clarity. Because the truth is, you were never asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person, and that's not on you. Now you heal. Not in one day, not in one post, but slowly, gently, in the small moments. You'll notice it in the way you breathe a little deeper, the way you cry a little less, the way your smile doesn't feel so forced anymore, the way your eyes light up when you talk about something that has nothing to do with him. That's healing, and it's happening right now. Even if it doesn't look like it, even if some days still hurt, healing is messy, but so is rebuilding, so is becoming. And you, right now, are becoming something stronger than you've ever been. Now what? Now you build new boundaries, not walls, but doors with locks. Now you remind yourself that love doesn't have to come with anxiety. Now you look forward instead of looking back. Because what's behind you was never meant to last. It was meant to shape you, shake you, grow you, but not keep you. You're not staying stuck. Not now, not ever again. He lied, and you believed. But that belief came from love, from loyalty, from hope. Never let anyone make you feel weak for that. Your love is not a flaw, it's a gift. And one day someone will honor it, protect it, and never take it for granted. But until then, you keep building yourself. You keep choosing your peace. You keep trusting that this version of you, the one rising from the mess, is the strongest version you've ever met. This is your chapter, not his. This is your turn to write what comes next. And this time, it's not based on lies. It's based on truth. Your truth. You owe it to yourself now. To make this pain mean something. To not let what happened destroy your softness. To not let his lies harden your heart. Because you were made for more than surviving disappointment. You were made for joy. You were made for peace. You were made for real love. And no, that doesn't mean going out and trying to find someone else right now. That means learning to sit with yourself and be proud. Proud that you made it through what tried to break you. Proud that you felt every ounce of the pain and didn't run from it. Proud that you now see clearly. He lied. You see that now. And now you see that when someone lies to you, it says nothing about your worth. It says everything about their character. You didn't deserve it. You didn't cause it. You didn't fail. You showed up fully, honestly, vulnerably. And that's what strong people do. Strong people don't avoid. They face the truth. They walk away when they realize something isn't love, even if their heart still wants it. And that's what you're doing now. You're walking, not away from love, but towards something better. Now what? Now you go back to yourself, to the version of you before the confusion, before the constant questions, before the need to explain your worth to someone who couldn't even explain his own intentions. You don't have to become cold to protect yourself. You just have to become clear. Clear about what you want, clear about what you won't tolerate, clear about what love looks like and what it doesn't. Because now you've lived the difference. He said all the right things, but his actions, they told the truth, and you listened. Maybe a little too late, but not too late to save yourself, not too late to start over. You are not what he did to you. You are what you choose to do now, and you choose to rise. You choose to stop replaying conversations in your head. You choose to stop writing new chapters with someone who keeps ending the story in the same way. You choose to stop blaming yourself for believing in someone who never learned how to be honest. Believing isn't weakness. Trusting isn't weakness. Loving fully isn't weakness. What's weak is playing with someone's heart just to feel powerful. What's weak is running from accountability. What's weak is pretending to be ready when you're not. You were strong enough to believe in him. Now be strong enough to believe in something better. You're not walking away empty. You're walking away wiser, stronger, sharper, more in touch with who you are and what you stand for. He lied. But you didn't lose. You gained clarity. You gained courage. You gained a relationship with yourself that no one else can touch. This is your call to rise, to stop looking back, to stop holding on to what if, and to finally start holding on to you, to your peace, to your values, to your ability to keep showing up for yourself even when people stop showing up for you. So now what? Now you remember how powerful you are. You remember that love is not something you beg for. It's something that's returned, freely, fully, without games. You remember that trust should be sacred, not used against you. And you remember that walking away from someone you love can still be the most loving thing you ever do, especially for yourself. This isn't the end. This is the moment it all starts to make sense. Not right away, not all at once, but day by day, thought by thought, choice by choice. You heal, you grow, you rise, because the pain won't last. But the strength it gives you, that will stay. One day you'll look back and realize that this pain changed everything. Not because it broke you, but because it opened your eyes. You'll remember the nights you cried for someone who didn't check on you. The moments you over-explained yourself to someone who wasn't even listening. The effort you gave to someone who treated it like it was nothing. And you'll feel something new. Peace. Not because it didn't hurt, but because you finally let go of what was never yours to carry. He lied, but you lived. You lived through it, and you kept going. You kept showing up to your life, even when it felt heavy. You kept waking up, even when mornings felt empty. You kept choosing hope, even when everything around you was telling you to give up. That's strength. That's power. That's what rising really looks like. Now what? Now you trust yourself again. You remind yourself that just because one person didn't know how to love you doesn't mean no one will. You remind yourself that your softness is still beautiful, that your loyalty still matters, that your heart, even when bruised, is still a gift. And no, healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without reliving. It means learning without blaming. It means forgiving, not because he deserves peace, but because you do. You forgive so you can breathe again. You forgive so you can love again, not him, but you. You forgive so you can stop giving someone else control over your story, because you're not stuck, not anymore. You're not confused, not anymore. You know the truth now, and the truth will always set you free, even when it hurts. He lied, you believed, but you're not bitter, you're better. You're not broken, you're building. You're not lost, you're realigning. And what's coming next? That's the reward for everything you've been through. Better days, deeper love, real joy. Not because you went looking for someone else, but because you finally stopped abandoning yourself. Now what? Now you write a new story. Not with fake promises, not with emotional guessing games, not with someone who can't decide if you're enough. You write it with purpose, with healing, with presence. You build a life that doesn't feel like waiting. A life where love feels safe, where peace is normal, where you wake up and smile for no reason at all, other than the fact that you made it. You did. You made it through heartbreak. You made it through confusion. You made it through betrayal. And you didn't let it turn you into someone you're not. That's victory. That's growth. That's transformation. He lied. But your truth? It's louder. It's brighter. It's stronger. And now, it leads the way. You're not who you were when this started. You've changed. Quietly, slowly, but completely. The version of you who tolerated the lies is gone. And what's left? Someone wiser. Someone grounded. Someone who finally understands that love is not supposed to hurt this way. The person who kept forgiving what should have never been acceptable. She's no longer here. Now there's someone new. Someone who says no without guilt. Someone who listens when the energy feels off. Someone who walks away when respect disappears. That's what happens when you've been lied to one too many times. You stop falling for potential. You stop fantasizing about who someone could be, and you start honoring the truth of who they really are. He lied, and it shook you. It broke something in you for a while. But look at how far you've come since then. Look at how much lighter you feel now. Look at the peace that slowly returned the moment you let go. And you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. You've got dreams waiting to be rebuilt. You've got goals that got pushed aside while you were busy saving someone who didn't want to be saved. You've got a future that's been calling your name this whole time. You don't need closure from him. You've already found it in your own strength. You don't need him to see your worth. You've already started seeing it yourself. You don't need to hear his reasons anymore. You already know all the reasons you're not going back. Because the truth is, your life gets better the moment you stop revisiting places that drained you. The moment you stop answering calls from people who only want access, not responsibility. The moment you stop breaking your own heart just to keep someone else comfortable. Now what? Now you show up for yourself like never before. Now you build a life so full, so healthy, so honest, that anyone who comes in has to rise to meet you. Now you protect your energy the way you used to protect his excuses. Now you become someone who never settles again. He lied, you believed, but now you believe in something more powerful than words. You believe in actions, in patterns, in peace, in yourself. You learned the lesson. You paid the price. Now it's time to move on. Not with regret, but with purpose. You didn't lose. You learned. You didn't fall behind. You aligned. You didn't break. You became unshakable. And the next time you love, it will be with open eyes. It will be with boundaries. It will be with someone who doesn't just say the right things, but lives them. Because now you know the difference. Now you trust yourself. Now you don't go back to what broke you. Now you build forward. That's what comes after the lie. That's what comes after betrayal. That's what comes after the storm. You. Rising, wiser, stronger, unstoppable. If this message spoke to something inside you, if you're ready to let go and rebuild with clarity and peace, then this was your sign. You don't have to go back. You don't have to explain yourself. You just have to remember, you believed him, but now it's time to believe in you.